Hi, it's Dennis Daly. On a trip to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, back in the late 1990s to meet Ralph Edwards and talk about the show Truth or Consequences, I ran into Annie Wood. Annie at the time was involved in a TV show called Buzz. It was an exciting dating game. The first thing I wanted to know is, how did she get there? What I meant was not how did she get to Truth or Consequences.
I'm from Los Angeles, California. What I did is I caught a plane and I made it over here to Albuquerque, which then in turn I got a rent-a-car and I drove to Truth or Consequences. And to answer you truthfully and honestly, I work for Stu Billett, Ralph Edwards Productions, and Ralph asked me if I would be part of this. Because I'm hosting a show, Buzz, that they created, and I said, yeah, why not? So here I am.
You're of a little bit different generation than a lot of the people who've been associated with Ralph for a long time. How did you get discovered?
Well, actually, it's kind of a neat Hollywood story.
Were you an overnight success after a long period of time?
It's funny that you said that. Yes, very much so, because I was an actress, and then I did little bit parts here and there, pounding the pavements. I grew up in Hollywood, and that's all I ever wanted to do. I took a job at Edwards Billett Productions for 6 weeks as a temp person, really, to get contestants for the show they were developing called Buzz. And Stu Billett said, hey, what do you think of this? He showed me a tape of the show that they were thinking about, and I said, hey, I think you should blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, he says, I want you to be part of the team. I want you to develop it. I want you to be co-producer. I said, okay. I said, I'm an actress. He said, that's all right. Go on your auditions, but do this too. So I'm very excited. Here I am getting like a weekly check, which, is like uncanny for an actress. So I did that, and one day I went into Stu's office and I said, they have this guy hosting the show, doing run-throughs at the office, and comedian, had jokes, did his thing. I said, Stu, listen, you need someone young, fun, hip, with a lot of energy. You need me to host this, And he looked at me, he said, all right, you'll get your chance, kid. A couple weeks goes by, he says, you ready to go on? I said, okay. I did the show, I filled the audience with my friends and family, and I warmed them up with Henny Youngman jokes, because it's the only jokes I know. And it became a very fast-paced show, and next thing you know, Stu and I are pitching this tape that we made in the office around town in Hollywood, and it really rapidly turned into this, where it became my show, it became my thing.
Isn't that tough when you consider, and I've not been to one of those broadcast conventions, but I look in Broadcasting Magazine, and there are hundreds of shows trying to get off the ground. I mean, we've gone through the thing where, everybody but my sister has a talk show now.
What's wrong with your sister?
She works at the wrong time of day. But the competition to start out something and then have it catch on must be pretty fierce.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many variables, and it is very difficult. Everybody's trying to do something, and nobody knows really what people are after at any given time. So it's kind of a crapshoot, it really is. But we knew that game shows were coming back, and that talk shows were going away. People were getting fed up with the Jenny Jones and the Sally Jesse Raphaels and the Ricky Lakes. So some things were moving aside to make room for same time period that game shows used to be on. So game shows moved in, and we just went full force on this. And it is very Generation X. It's my show in particular is very young and very high-paced, fast and fun.
You're looking then at what age group? How do you define that Generation X age? What is the demographic you're looking for?
Well, the demographic for Gen X is, the way I've heard it, is like 16 to 32. It's huge, really. It's all 20-somethings and late adolescents. The demos that we reach is pretty much that. Plus, we're getting 30 to 40-year-old women, and we're getting a lot of college kids, and we get a lot of different folks. I mean, if I judge from my own without looking at the sheets, if I judge just on my own from who approaches me, especially in Los Angeles, I get I get 50-year-old couples come over to me and say, my wife and I, we love your show, we think you're terrific. And then I get little kids going, Annie, oh my God, Annie, what? So I get all kinds. So it's tough for me to really judge.
I would think that you must have a lot of people your age who are writing you, because, for example, when I was your age, nobody my age was hosting anything.
Well, that's interesting, actually. I've never thought about it that way.
I mean, if you wanted to aspire to do that, you were looking at the fact that maybe someday I'll be old enough to do that.
Well, that's funny. actually, more so than age, was the fact that usually people who hosted game shows were men. And as far as women went, especially for the dating genre, Betty White and Elaine Joyce were talking late 70s, early 80s, and that's it. And so more than age, I think of it as, yeah, we're not used to seeing women as hosts. Co-hosts, okay, they're beginning to accept that, but as an actual host, everyone was scared to do that. But the thing is, we went on, we didn't do a pilot, we did a test run in Los Angeles for 2 months, we were on the air, and we got outstanding ratings, and it didn't seem, to be a big deal that I happen to be a chick.
Well, and the other thing, too, and I don't want to read too much into this, is that you are working under the umbrella of a company which is one of the oldest companies as far as doing TV production and is associated with these older mainline programs.
Right. It's funny. A lot of people don't go here with this whole thing with Buzz. What's interesting was Stu Billett and I, and even Ralph, when I met him 2 years ago, and there was a connection there. And I'm very much into old Hollywood. And I mean, if you look at my house, it's just, I have framed pictures of stars from the 30s and the 40s, and I'm really into how that used to be, how Hollywood used to be. I always kid around that I was born too late. And when I first met Stu, we had this thing in common. And there's Ralph Edwards is an icon, and I know that, and I knew it when I got there at, the tender age of 22 or whatever I was, 23. And Stu and I click on that too. I mean, our office is across the street from Mann's Chinese Theater, and we sit there, we look across the street at our view, and we just think, oh my goodness, look at this. And it means a lot to he and I, not so much to anyone else in the office, but to he and I, it's everything. So I think there's this, they see something in me that is of the yesteryear. So I understand, although I bring a Gen X kind of energy, I'm not without a respect for that era.
Well, and it's a show that can run for a while.
Well, knock on wood. From your mouth to God's ears. Yeah, well, you'd think so. I mean, it's happened with Dating Game and Love Connection. I mean, stuff like this usually catches on. But it's tough. You never know. I mean, somebody needs to hold on to it. Somebody needs to believe in it and keep it on. And for it to last. I mean, in the olden days, in old Hollywood, you'd have a show, a certain time slot, and you'd keep it there.
Sure.
Yeah. And
you owned it.
Right. It's not like that. Now, you're at a certain time slot, a certain day, for, a few weeks, and then you're changed. I mean, we've changed time, except for Los Angeles, where I live, and where we tape the show. We've stayed at the same place, 7 p.m., but everywhere else we have changed numerous amounts of times, and that is not easy, because it's hard to get your core audience when you do that to them. You can't. You have to be on for more than a year for them to catch on, so it's tough.
One final thing. Explain, if you would, for people who have not been to the taping of a show, how you're not there 5 days a week. I mean, how you cluster the tapings and how far ahead you are of the air date.
Yeah, most people think, oh my gosh, what do you do, 10 shows a day? Actually, no. I hate to burst this bubble because I want to be perceived as a very hardworking individual. But no, we actually tape 5 shows in one day. So on Saturdays we tape 5 shows, so it's a very long day. And the rest of the week is preparation, and I co-produce it as well. So I go into the office and we help, I help write and prepare for the show. And we're about a month ahead of schedule. So right now we have all new shows airing, but the last month we had repeats, and we spread it out. It's actually really interesting how it all works. We are ahead of schedule. We do it all in one day for the most part, and that's how it works.
Even though Annie's show Buzz was a lot of fun, it only ran for 1 year. But she's had steady work since then, doing a lot of voiceovers and improv. I'm Dennis Daly.